So something nobody's really talking about is how you can love writing almost more than anything else and still find yourself completely unable to just sit down and do it. And I'm not talking about laziness. I don't mean that you don't care enough. You obviously do. You care deeply. You want it badly, but still something gets in the way. And the standard advice is always the same thing. It's just show up, power through, build the habit, get it done, treat it like a job, things like that. And if that advice has ever made you feel worse instead of better, as though you're just failing at something that everybody else seems to find easy, then this video's for you. It's definitely for me. Because here's what the advice misses. It misses that there are actually two completely different things that look like I can't write today going on. And they need completely different responses. One is avoidance, and then the other is genuine inability. And learning to tell the difference between these two things is crucial. Let me start with something that reframed this for me completely. There's this researcher called Tim Peikel who spent his whole career basically studying procrastination and trying to figure out why we don't do the things we want to do. And his finding is simple. He basically found that when we avoid a task, we're not actually avoiding the task itself most of the time. We're avoiding the emotion that comes with it. So let's think about that for a second. You sit down to write and suddenly you need to check your phone, you need to do the laundry, you need to reorganize your desk and your bookshelves and then make another cup of hot cocoa or something. You're not necessarily avoiding the writing, you're avoiding the feeling of being anxious or frustrated or vulnerable or bored. The task itself is fine. It's the emotion that's attached to it that your brain is basically running away from. That is avoidance, and it's incredibly normal. Our brains are wired to move away from discomfort. Anything that makes us uncomfortable, we're built to avoid. And it's not a character flaw, it's just how our brains are built. But then there are these moments where there's something else going on entirely, and these are the moments that this advice, this consistency advice, completely fails to account for. Sometimes you're not avoiding, sometimes your capacity is compromised. You just don't have that 100% that you're expecting yourself to give. You're exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't fix. You might be grieving or you're processing something that's really heavy and weighing on you. And in those moments, your brain isn't choosing not to write. It's simply it doesn't have access to what it needs in order to be able to create. Research on burnout and grief shows that when we're under such sustained emotional strain, the parts of our brain we need for creativity and for complex thinking just become temporarily inaccessible. They aren't weakened or anything like that. They are inaccessible. And it's like trying to run software on a computer that has no battery, no power left. The software isn't the reason it's failing. It's literally out of power. There's nothing that you can do other than plug it in and let it recharge. So when someone tells you to just show up every day, yeah, that works if you're avoiding, but if your battery is flat, pushing harder just burns it out. It just drains it further. So how do you know which one you're dealing with? Well, there are a few things I actually use. First is the emotional check-in. When resistance hits, just pause. Instead of pushing through or giving up, just ask yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? Don't settle for an answer like, I don't feel like it. Just be specific. What emotion is present? What are you feeling? I sat down to write and I realized I was anxious that the scene wouldn't be good enough. I've sat down to write and I've realized that I was bored with this particular stretch of the story. I sat down and realized that I was just avoiding something vulnerable, a scene that required me to go somewhere I was just emotionally uncomfortable with. If you can name the emotion, that's actually really good news because it means you're avoiding. And avoidance also has solutions. You lower the bar. You write the messy version. We talked about that last week when we were talking about Bird by Bird, and I'm going to leave that linked up here. Anyway, you write the messy version on purpose, or you skip the scene that's scaring you right now and write a different one. You can change the conditions until the task feels less emotionally expensive and costly. The goal isn't to write perfectly, it's to make writing feel safe enough for you to do. The second tool I use is the capacity assessment. And this one requires real honesty. Ask yourself, do I actually have capacity right now for this? Not time, capacity. Am I sleeping? Am I grieving? Am I carrying something heavy that is using up all my emotional bandwidth before I even sit down at my desk? March was that month for me. I was processing a lot, things in my personal life that just were hard and heavy and ongoing, and my battery was just flat, not low, flat. And I could have beaten myself up about the fact that I wrote fewer words than the months before, and I did a little, but I got almost 6,000 words done in a month when I was running on empty. And I'm taking that as a win because sometimes something, or even a tiny little something, is always more than nothing. And because I knew the difference, I wasn't avoiding. I knew I wasn't avoiding. I was depleted, so I didn't push harder. Instead, I rested as much as I could when I needed to rest, and I wrote when I had a little bit of capacity to do so. So when your battery is flat, the most productive thing you can do is charge it up. Rest, be with people you love, do things that fill your creative well rather than drain you, and just nurture yourself, nourish your creativity. The third tool is what researchers call task aversiveness. Basically, getting specific about what exactly is making this particular writing task uncomfortable. Because not all types of writing resistance are the same. And once you know what specifically is making something hard, you can solve that actual problem instead of just staring at a blank page and feeling bad for yourself. Right now, there's a scene coming up in my manuscript that I've been circling for weeks. It's a conflict scene between the two main characters, and I've been avoiding it, not because I don't know what needs to happen. I know exactly what needs to happen, and this is a scene that's so crucial to the plot and to the story, and it's going to help the characters develop and move forward. But I am a person who is deeply uncomfortable with conflict in real life. And apparently my nervous system just doesn't distinguish between fictional conflict and real conflict. So every time I sit down and I think about the scene that's coming up, something inside me is just like, nope. Not going to happen. That's task aversiveness, and that in itself isn't impossible, but something specific about it is making it unbearable right now. So if you encounter something like this, what you can ask yourself is, what specifically is uncomfortable about what I'm trying to create right now? Is it perfectionism that's telling you need to be good, you need to make it perfect before you even let yourself begin? Or is it overwhelm, making you feel that the scene is so big and so daunting that you don't even know where to enter it? Is it vulnerability, where it feels too raw or too close, where it asks for too much of you on the page? Once you know the specific thing, you can address it. Perfectionism, write the scene badly. Write it badly on purpose. Or if you're feeling overwhelmed, write the smallest thing you feel is possible. Write just one line of dialogue or just a single sentence. Vulnerability, just remind yourself that writing it and sharing it are two separate acts. You're writing it for the story itself. You're writing the story first. The rest comes later, if it ever even does. You don't have to share it if it feels too vulnerable. So here's what I want you to take away from this video. This gap between loving writing and your ability to do it isn't always a gap in your commitment or your discipline. It can be a gap in your understanding of what's actually in the way and what's going on inside you in your internal world. And once you close that gap, once you can look at your resistance and say, this is avoidance, this is depletion, this is a capacity issue, or this is me being scared of being vulnerable, you have options. You have real options and ways to handle it. So you're not broken, you're not failing at being consistent. You're just a human with a nervous system that responds to real things going on in your life, and that deserves curiosity rather than punishment. Next week, I'm going to be doing something I've never done before. I'm locking myself in for 12 hours straight to write and seeing what happens. I'm taking on this writing challenge to just see how that works in my life right now with all the chaos going on. I'm curious to see how I'm going to be able to cope when I remove all the distractions, all the excuses, all the things that have been pulling me away from the page, and just see what my brain does. I don't know. I'm wondering what resistance is going to look like and feel like in real time in that situation. And I think it's going to be really raw, and I'm feeling really terrified about it. But everything we've talked about today everything about capacity, about avoidance, and about seeing what it is that gets in the way. I feel like that's all going to come in handy next week when I meet this head on. So I'm going to see you there, hopefully. If you'd like to join, subscribe, stick around. I'd love to get to know you and hear all about the projects you're working on. And I'm going to leave a video linked over here that the algorithm thinks would be helpful for you, because nothing is coming to mind right now. I'm still pretty depleted. Anyway, I'll see you next week.